For my final section, I will be talking about the different student and teacher do's and don'ts excerpt. This was something that I did not pay attention to in the beginning. I thought that I knew how to do the lesson plan myself. It was really hard to not do the lesson plan I usually do, but instead do the 5E lesson plan structure. After a couple of days, after a couple of weeks of trying to do it myself, I wasn't giving Dr. DeWalt what I wanted. He wanted us to look back at the BSCS 5E experts. But instead, I was following my own path. Once we started having more classes and getting more feedback from our classmates and from the professor, I started to realize that my way was not the right way. I was too set in my ways to think about other options. Finally, one day I decided to really pay attention to the excerpt about the student and teacher do's and don'ts. Even when I would start doing each part of the E's, I would catch myself referring back to the chart. This was the moment I realized that the chart will help me with my lesson plan. So as you can see on the screen, this is a BSCS 5E instructional model for what the teacher has to do and what the student has to do for explanation and what they're not supposed to do. So when I started to look at the chart, I would realize I had things that were inconsistent with this model. I would have my students expecting explanation, or I would have the students accepting the explanation without justification, or even bring up irrelevant examples. So, and for me as a teacher, I was accepting the explanation that has no justification. Just because I didn't know what the student would ask, what questions they were asked, and I would just let it slide. That's not what you're supposed to be going on throughout the 5E lesson plan. The 5E lesson plan is supposed to allow for the teacher to accept any questions or answers that the student is going to ask. If I would have done this in the beginning, I would have not wasted so much time. The excerpt of the do's and don'ts will go with me into my teaching career. After I understood the different sections, I was able to compare and contrast my lesson plan with the do's and don'ts. If my section did not match up with it, then obviously I did not do it right. I really wish I would have realized this in the beginning to save myself the trouble, but now I know for the future and I can continue to use this amazing resource that Dr. DeWalt has given us.